Now that you made all your parts, we're going to make the assembly. If you change all the colors of your parts, it's going to make this easier. You're going to need multiple instances like you see over here. To do that with your different parts, you just click this command, select the part, and apply the number of instances, and you can space them how far apart you want them. I've already done that, so we're going to move on with the first constraint, which is a coincidence constraint between here and here. We're going to have to do an offset constraint between this surface and this surface. Make it 0. So now it should be flush. Now we're going to do the same thing with the piston ring and the piston. And instead of doing an offset constraint, we're going to do a contact constraint. You may need to move. So next we got another coincidence constraint between there and here. Let's go ahead and hit update. Fix the master rod. It is the main portion which everything is linked off of, so just go ahead and fix it. Coincidence constraint, same line. And update the offset constraint between there, which is here, and make that 0. Hit update, and next we're going to fit the piston in, so that's going to have the offset constraint between that surface and this surface, but instead of 0, it's 4 this time. And hit update, make this coincidence to here, and hit update. This has a contact constraint to this surface, and hit update. This has an offset constraint of this surface to this surface once again, but it's of 2 this time, and you hit update. So we're going to zoom back out, find the rest of our parts. Coincidence once again between here. Now we want this axis. Coincidence between this part and here, and coincidence again between this part and here. It has a contact constraint, so we're going to get this surface to this surface and hit update. And now I'm going to do an offset between here and here. This has an offset of 2, and then this surface has a contact constraint to this surface, and we should hit up. You can go back to that. All your constraints are down here on the constraint box, and you just delete it. Select the opposite side, offset constraint. So offset constraint this surface to this pink surface of 2, and then re-update. Okay, you're going to select angle constraint, select the planar surface. Going to go in and select this center line axis here, 285. Hit OK, and update the angular constraint between there and here, and you want the angle to be 0. Hit update. Now you see it flips. So we're going to change it to the correct angle now, and the correct angle is 180 degrees, and you hit update, and we're going to zoom out so we can find where all our parts went, and you can use the manipulate tool to move them over to a more convenient location. This just makes it easier to deal with them if they're all really close together. Coincidence constraints for all these link pins to their specific holes. Update, make sure it goes to its hole. For doing these coincidence constraints, it's usually easier if you go in from a side angle to view, to get that axis line to pop up. So like we did before, we're going to have contact constraints between the top of that and the actual pin. So we're going to zoom in and select the underside and just hit update, and that part goes away. You hit that right there, and we need the opposite side of the surface, so you zoom out a bit. And hit update, and select the surface again, and you're going to have to see the bottom side of that pin again, and zoom back in. And hit update. Now that we've done that, it's pretty much rinse and repeat from this point on. Now that we have this coincidence constraint between here, update. I did not make duplicates of the pistons, so we're going to go in, select the piston. We need 4 more besides the one that's there, so you can click OK. And we're going to hide all the new pistons that we just brought in. So that we only have 1 more. And we're going to make it coincident. And we can update that. Same story here. You're going to have to grab that surface. Do an offset. 2. As you saw, our piston was not constrained over here, so of course it's going to jump away. Just a contact constraint between there. Zoom out a bit so we can see what we're doing. And zoom back in, grab that surface, and hit update. Everything's there, offset. From there to there, 4 millimeters, update. Zoom back out. Need the pin, grab its line, go back over. We know where it goes on this axis, and we can update this. It has a contact constraint between that surface and this top portion, so we can update that. Now you see it fits nicely in. There is a pin on either side of these, so we're going to go ahead and put the other one in. So to do that, we want to zoom back out. And once you find where those pins went, we can use the manipulate tool to move them around again. So you just move them up, hit OK, and we want to move them over. Just move everything over here where we're actually going to be using it, and hit OK. Zoom back in, grab the plug, coincidence, coincidence, update, contact that interior, top of it. Update. Zoom out. Zoom back in. This one, coincidence. Go to our other piston. Zoom in. Gonna twist it a little bit and make sure we get the right axis line here. And contact there. And just hit update. Zoom out a bit. Go back over to our part. We're going to do the same angular constraints on the piston as we did before. So that angle into that angle is 180. And update. Now we need that piston ring to seat itself, so that's a contact constraint. Contact needs to be contacting that bottom surface, so we're going to find that. We're going to zoom back out, find our pin that's floating way up here. We're going to zoom in on it. Grab that surface, hit update, and if you see, it's just floating out there because remember we didn't make a coincidence, so we'll go ahead and make a coincident now. Just showing you that contact constraint just isn't enough to make it fit that part. It actually needs a location, so we're going to go ahead and make it coincident. Remember we need it on not that axis, but this axis coming out. And hit update. And there it is. So now we can zoom back out. And there's your basic piston assembly with 2 arms completed. The other 3 arms are just going to be a repeat process of this arm. After we have all the parts made, we're going to make the last angle constraints on the rods and we'll be done. So you want to go into the top view, and we're going to constrain that center line to this edge, but remember we need a planar surface, so we're going to select that right there. And you want the angle to be 255, and we can go back into the top view and constrain the angle between here and here, 75. Then we're going to constrain the angle between here and here, 70. Constrain the angle between here and here. It's going to be 70, and now we are done. You can go back to isometric view and see that we have now made the articulated rod. I mean, we've made the entire structure.